Well, I'm really excited to be able to share with you a program that has deep meanings for us in Solano County, but much more broadly to all of the other people who were fortunate to be at that convention. Yeah, we just went to last week where Alice Freed and this wonderful program, Democracy Matters, was acknowledged by the state of California as a program of excellence. We had an opportunity to see the other two programs that were also nominated and really had some very unique and important things to offer in this area. But I want to say why I think this program, just my opinion, but why do I think this program is good about all of it? I'm a former history teacher. I taught government for 20 years at a middle school. I care about this deeply. When people say to me, hey, Rami, they don't teach civics in school anymore, that is not actually accurate. They do teach civics, but are children learning? Are they learning something that will be translated into action? Are they learning about something in a theoretical way, or are they understanding how their role as a citizen can really have an impact on their lives now and on all of them? This program does. Yeah. This program does more than inform. It inspires and creates a pathway to action, and it is unique in many ways. We owe a huge debt of thanks to Alice for the work that she has done. It's not only to develop the program, but to shepherd it through to establish partnerships like the one that you're looking at here with the Solano Commission Coalition. Excuse me. Let me introduce Johanna Nowak. Is it? Palmer. Sorry. And Rebecca Floyd. And the student work that we see, what Alice has done is created a way to use those very powerful tools that are the hallmark of the League of Women Voters, and she is showing that in real time to students, so they can see how they can lift their voice in a way that is constructive and powerful and will deeply impact their communities. So often we think about voting only on the national level, and God knows that's important. I don't want to take one iota away from that. When I got involved with the league, thank you, Gail Vaughn, who was my mentor and who brought me into the fold. I thought the most important thing was registering students to vote. Every part of my being wanted to make that be successful. We went in so many classes, and I loved them. I helped her write the grants that we got and helped fund them. But we have to be nimble. We can't keep doing the same things we used to do without paying attention, because now more of our students are registering to vote when they go to get their license. And so going into a classroom of 30 students and 25 of them have already registered is neither a productive thing to do, and it doesn't make the teachers go, oh goody, here they come. But what we're doing here is transforming that world into what we're learning, and we are looking to see how the voter registration piece, but the voter outreach and voter education to understand why it's not just okay to register. You need to. And so often when we look at our youth, they are the lowest percentage voters that we have in the most recent election. And that has to change. And when we talk to students, what do they say? It's only one vote. It doesn't really make that much of a difference. You know, what do I don't really know enough about what the issues are. And what we really want to help students understand and young people understand is every vote counts. And that by being a full participant and using your vote in a way that makes a difference, when you don't vote, you just surrender your power to somebody else who's going to vote for you. Be careful of that. Not what we want to be doing. So without any further ado, I want to introduce you to Alice Freed, who's my inspiration. When I look at her, I see somebody who doesn't just talk, she does. Yeah. And she does it in a way that inspires others to join. So thank you for your work. I'm going to turn this to you. Thank you.
Craig, you want to put that video up? Okay, we're gonna start off with the video. We were lucky enough to meet a gentleman named David Avery, who is a great videographer, who's followed me around a few of these events and actually was able to record the students and what they do. So I'd like to, because it's exam week and the students are very much involved in that, and that's their priority, we decided to use the video to show you some of the students who are actually a part of this program. I'm really excited to introduce Democracy Matters to everybody tonight. For the past two and a half years, it's been Sandy Curry and I on this mission together. Sandy, I said, Sandy, we have to go here, we have to go there, and there she is. And we're right there trying to make people understand that we have to prepare our students to understand how government works so that they can participate. And so here's a little video put together.
It worked earlier, but
Let's see here.
I gotta go search for it. So I'll be like that. Keep talking.
Well, no, you don't want me to do that. Keep talking, he said. Anyway, I got the idea for this program after receiving an email from, this was after I first moved to Vacaville, and I had success in Alameda with the youth outreach program. And I tried to instill the same program here in Vacaville, and I ran into a few what I like to call brick walls disguised as people. But you know, it's a wall. And if you want to get something done, you have to figure out how to get over that wall. And that's exactly what I did. And one day, Sandy Curry, she says, Alice, this is something you would be interested in. There was an article about the Solano Youth Coalition in the newspaper asking for partnerships, asking people to be engaged and involved with their partnerships. So I read this letter, this article, and I immediately got on the phone and I ended up having a meeting with these two ladies right here. And I sat there with my impassioned speech about why the League of Women Voters should be partners with this group of students. You know, this is very important. We have to get these kids to understand how important voting is. Just like the voting thing was top of the list, but then I was also interested in making sure that they understood civics, because yeah, I know they say they have civics in classes. They have government in classes where they teach them that there's the presidency and the three branches of government, but civics actually has to do with the word citizen. It's a Latin word for citizen. And it actually tells you what you have to do, what citizens have to do. And I'm going on and on and on about this. And so they sat back and said, yeah, that goes along with what we're trying to do with the students, make them aware and become resources in their community. However, you are going to have to get the students to agree to be partners with you. Yeah, that meant I had to do a presentation in front of kids. I learned that the students were not only interested in, because they get their funding for tobacco and how it affects their lives. I learned from them that the students were interested in local government. Well, this was right up my wheelhouse, because I believe that local government is the most impactful on your day-to-day life. And I also believe that if these students are going to have get any kind of impact on what they're learning about government, it has to be on a local level, because that's where they can actually have access to their elected leaders, is in local government. You can't, I tried to impress upon them that, say you want to talk about your school lunch. Well, you can't go to Joe Biden and say my school lunch is not good, but you can go to a school board meeting and say we need to change the school lunches. This is where they can actually have access and can participate in the process. So them wanting to be a part of local government was absolutely phenomenal to me. And it just made me think about something. So after doing a survey, I realized that they wanted to be into policy making. These kids want to be a part of the process. We did a survey and they want to be a part of the process. So this is what we did. This is what we did. So when I added all of this to context, and when you think about what democracy is, if you just simply state it, all democracy is, it's a government of, by, and for the people. And it offers the people ways and means through which they can collectively control their government. So you add that to, I did research. You add that to the fact that even though civics is mentioned, it is not a class that kids get credit for. It's the government class that they get credit for. Not in the old days when I went to school, we had civics, which is what you have to do. Or teach you what you have to do. And you realize that a citizen is not born, that a citizen is somebody, you have to make a citizen just like you have to make a carpenter or a doctor. You have to go through training and internships and apprenticeships, the whole 9 yards. So this is what I wanted Democracy Matters to do. I wanted Democracy Matters to be this hands-on experience that these students got. And I read somewhere that democracy is not something that you have, that it is something that you do. And that's the other reason why, that's the premise. And that's when I realized that my program, Democracy Matters, has to include these hands-on activities. And what better place to get these hands-on activities than with the League of Women Voters? Go to the next slide. In its role, like I said, as a protector of democracy through education and advocacy, the League has established tools and resources that provide citizens practical experiences that raise awareness, like the sign says, facilitates good citizenship and informed engagement in local. This had to be League tools that these kids, these students, I'm sorry, Sarah, I said kids. I'm always supposed to say students, that these students can actually have something tangible to do. Because one thing the kids told me all the time, one thing I learned from my grandchildren was, you old people talk too much. Oh, well. You can't just stand up there and tell them, vote. And they said we talk too much. Go to the next slide. This is what they said. And so I decided that we couldn't do all of this talking. And if I couldn't talk, then how was I going to get these kids? That's what I do. So what was I going to do to get these kids interested? I had to establish some relationships, some collaborative partnerships. So this is what you do. You go to the agencies that respect human dignity of all, which is what the League does, values diversity and inclusion, which is what the League does, and support citizen input and involvement in local government. This is what the League does. This is what I wanted our League to do. Who does that? Your city council does that. Your mayor does that. Your school board representatives do that. These are the people that do that. And that's what I did. I went out and established some of these relationships. And I have to give kudos to quite a few. The Vacaville, because I'm from Vacaville, maybe it was easier for me to get them, but I talked to a whole lot of them. My very first Observer Corps training was in Sassoon City. It was with the mayor of that city, Laura Wilson. I told her about this program, and I said, I would love to have a mock city council meeting. She said, do it. And I'm like, she made this that whole way the dust and forget she ever said it. But 2 days later, I emailed her, and then she put me in contact with our people, and that's when we had our first mock city council meeting in Sassoon City. And Mayor Hernandez let us do it again this year. City council members from Vacaville, I called quite a few of them. The one program that's really, really interesting, I have to give kudos to my city council member, Jeanette Wiley. Because she immediately, she didn't say no, she said, yes, of course, let me know when. And it was as powerful and empowering as it was for these students to actually be in that city hall. He started, the school superintendent, what's her name? Estrella? That's right, Ms. Henderson. She came to that session. And she says, I would like for you to bring this program to Golden Hills, which is an alternative dance school. These students are actually already in the system. They've been put out of school for various reasons or whatever. So they're already being impacted by the system, right? And she says, I'd like you to bring this program to them. Well, these are students who can't go to City Hall for a meeting. What does my city council member do? She brings City Hall to them. She picks an agenda item and she goes through the agenda item with them, and other city council members come and they discuss the meeting. So we bring it to them. So this is what you have to do. Then these two ladies right here, oh my goodness. from SYC. I mean, I have access to students all over Solano County, from middle school all the way up to college. Do you know how hard it is to get a group of teachers together to talk about anything to get something like this going? It won't be so hard now since we've got some data to show something to show. But it was next to impossible. So to get this enthusiasm from this group, from these ladies helping me with their present to have my presentation and the kids voting me, that was the scariest time I ever had was doing that. But that's what you have to do. You have to come up with those collaborative partners in getting something like this done. It's absolutely necessary. Another thing that I learned from the students is keeping it real. You have to give the students something tangible. You just can't stand up there and say, vote for me. You have to give these kids something tangible to work with. So this is why I have the relationship with the registrar of voters who come in with the students, with his team, and all of the equipment he's gonna need, everything, how to register to vote, how to vote, the ballot, everything. They go through the whole process, even down to the fact of learning how handicapped people vote. Then I have partners with the sorority, the Delta Sigma Theta sorority, and the fraternity, the Phi Beta, the fraternity, where they adopt a poll. And what these students learn in that voter registration fee, they can actually work a poll and earn money. So the partnership with them, the sorority adopts a poll, and the SYC students, they work the poll with them. Experience, hands-on. It's almost as good as in '64 when we got the right to vote. My civics teacher got the voter registrar to bring a voting machine into the classroom where we had to pull the lever and close ourselves around. You remember that one? Pull that lever, and then we had to vote pulling the lever in that year. So that experience never left me. Even when I went out into the world and said my vote doesn't count and all of this other stuff, everybody said all of that system pulled up. I never forgot how good it felt to cast that vote for the very first time, and I learned that. And so that's the experience that I thought would be very impactful for these students in Democracy Matters. So when you add all of that together, along with the League's mission, you get a strong democracy. The collaboration and the mission with the League, which is to go out and make sure that people are being educated about the process and everything, then you get a strong government. Now, the other thing about this is very important. One of the things that's totally missing, and I don't care what educator is sitting in here right now, critical thinking is absolutely critical. And there's just not enough stuff going on to make sure people are learning how to critically think. And believe it or not, that's one of the missions of this group. Critical thinking and active listening skills. Lo and behold, I'm thinking, now this is a group I definitely need to be with. But in order to make sure that it's effective, I had to make sure that I had something tangible, some way for them to actually use those skills, to actually practice it. So critical thinking is very much a part of that. And how we handle that is with the three training things that we have here. We have, we'll go to the next one, the Observer Corps. This is where the students actually participate in a mock city council meeting. And they actually learn how to observe, how to participate in local government and board meetings using League-inspired tools. And these students have organized their own, so all of you city council members, if you see a group of students that says SYC, these students have organized their own Observer Corps. They will be attending meetings and they know how to do it because we've actually had them do it. Go to the next one. The next one was a student-led how to organize, how to plan, organize, and conduct a forum. Now I tell you, this training was very, very interesting because you get up here, we have to start from the very beginning, from scratch. the kids have to decide that what kind of forum they're gonna have. They determine that they want to have a forum on education in Solano County. Then they have to decide who you're going to invite. Then you have to create a letter to invite them. You have to get a venue. You have to come up with questions. You have to, everything has to go. Nobody does a forum better than a league. So I took the league's format on how to do a forum because it's also very fair. The rules are very fair. Everybody gets the same amount of time to speak and answer the same question. And you can't address each other. You have to respond to the question to the audience. This is critical. This is how you get stuff done. Those students, we had timekeepers. I tell you, I cried the entire forum through. They did the forum. It was the education forum. They had 4 countywide board of supervisors, superintendents, and school board presidents on their panel. We had a session on how to construct a question. I wanted to make sure that they understood that when you ask a question, know what you're talking about. So you have to do your research. It should be either from personal experience or from data. When it was all over, the superintendents of those schools said, this was supposed to be a learning experience for you, but it was a learning experience for us. Those were the words that came out of their mouths. And I tell you, I cried the whole time because they didn't miss a beat. They did the timekeeping. They were very respectful to making sure that everybody had their seat, that they had water, that they had pens. It was awesome. And I tell you, when we were doing that, you helped me with that trick. Kids were all over everything. You know how they do. They were in the phone. I was so afraid that they weren't listening, but they didn't miss a beat. So these hands-on activities is very, 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 very important. Go to the next one. And then, of course, we had how to register the kids to vote. And if you can see from the pictures, I'm not sure if you can all see, but these are students from Golden Hills and from SYC. These are students who are actually engaging with the registrar of voters and his people on the equipment. And they came in, one group came in, the Golden Hills group came in, and they weren't interested at all. Not at all. But by the time it was all over, they were looking up their grandmother and said, oh, yeah. It was just very, very interesting to see them. You know, this hands-on activity is what, you know, actually, and these are the kinds of things that will stick with them, you know, with them forever. And this is what I did with the help of our partner, the voter registrar's office. So all of that to say, Democracy Matters is based on a couple of things: collaboration and using the lead tools that have been tried and tested for over 100 years. And we focus a lot on civility because it's very important that you learn how to respect people. That's totally, you can't get anything done when you're screaming and hollering at each other. And this is also a part of what they're trying to do, is to get these kids to understand how important it is to be respectful of human nature and all of its ills, because nobody is perfect, right? No public policy is going to be perfect. But active listening skills, so that you can see what's in that policy that's going to work for you and what's not, and then you can sit down and talk about that and see how you can make it. This program is important because we have to bring words like consensus, commitment, fairness. We have to bring those words back into the fold. We can't be afraid of those words anymore. Talking to each other, and that's what Democracy Matters is about. And I started it off wanting it to become, because the league is all over the world, all over the country, wanting it to become something that the league can do all over the place so that more kids, we do not want to continue to send out our young people into the world not understanding how that government works. Because if we do, what are we going to have? Cynicism, apathy, hate, all of this stuff comes up. You don't appreciate what you don't understand, what you don't know. We need to give them this frame of reference so that they can make some choices based on what they know, as opposed to what somebody else is telling and some place to go. So to me, it's everything. It's a very important program, and I can't thank the league enough for giving me an opportunity to do my thing, because this is the way I feel I can give back. Because as a woman of color, an aged woman of color, I know that democracy is not perfect. But I also know that without the promise of democracy, without the promise of what democracy could be, we could still be enslaved. And without educating our students about democracy, we are going to enslave them mentally and emotionally. And we don't want to do that. So that's what democracy matters is to me. And so I'd like to introduce Rebecca and Johanna, who will now give you their talk about SYC and how important, so that you can actually see why this partnership, this collaboration is working for Solano County, and how Solano County is preparing a group of young people to go into the world prepared and ready to be citizens and good people who have a community mindset, as opposed to the we, the me, recognizing that sometimes if we do we, you're taking care of me, whatever. Anyway, Johanna, Rebecca.
Thank you, Alice. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how to, but so my name is Rebecca Floyd. I am the Solano Youth Coalition advisor, and I'm also the project coordinator in the Youth Development Department at the Solano County Office of Education.
And my name is Johanna Novak Palmer. I am the program manager for the Youth Development Department at Solano County Office of Education. I also am an advisor for the Youth Coalition. I report to her when Youth Coalition matters. But I also oversee the Friday Night Live program in all of Solano County, and actually in the regional leader for 14 other counties in California. So this presentation not only is going to talk about our partnership, but give you more context about kind of the history, the background of not just SYC, but the Friday Night Live program, because SYC is built on the foundation of the Friday Night Live program, follows the core components of Friday Night Live, and is really what we consider the umbrella chapter for that program. So let's see, if you want to go to the first slide, or second slide.
It's to the far left, there.
Okay, so go ahead and go to the next slide. So Friday Night Live, it was actually started in 1984 in California. Its primary purpose was basically to stop drunk driving when it came to underage drinking and driving. At that time in 1984, the most likely reason a teenager was going to die would be any drunk driving accident. So the program really focused on providing alternative healthy activities for students to do besides get party, go party, and go driving. That program has evolved extremely to a very different looking program. So if you have Friday Night Live in your school, or if you were a teacher, or if you were a student, it's not the Friday Night Live you probably know. Friday Night Live very much focuses now on developing youth leadership and engagement in their community, and being active resources in their community for healthier and safer decisions amongst their peers, but also amongst their entire community. The program is youth-driven and youth-led. And when I say that, I mean it. It is, we walk that walk and we talk that talk. When Alice said she had to present those students and they had to vote whether or not they wanted to work with her, Becca and I have no influence on that decision. No matter how much we like Alice and how much we believed in Alice, at the end of the day, this was our students' program and their decision. Alice made a fantastic pitch and she got through, but I will be totally honest, we have had more than one pitch that has not made it past our students. So it is an honor to work with them, and we're very glad that Alice pulled through. But the root cause of Friday Night Live is still to have students feel connected to their community, to feel part of the community, and to feel that they have a sense of agency and autonomy and the ability to contribute. And there was no better fit for SYC or any of our other Friday Night Live programs. Hopefully we'll get to expand than this partnership with League of Women Voters, because that is really, I mean, Alice also walked her walk and talked her talk when she said she wanted to engage these young people and give them real skill building opportunities that were tangible and that would help them feel connected to their community. She absolutely did that.
Next slide, please. Oh, no, you're on the right one now. You're good now. So we currently have 9 active chapters throughout Solano County. Like Joe was saying, the Youth Coalition is our countywide chapter, and part of SYC is that leaders from our different school-based chapters sit on SYC. So if they're in a leadership role in their school site chapter, they also have to apply to be on SYC. One thing that's not on this particular slide is that we also have 2 members who are currently serving on the California Youth Council, which is the statewide youth coalition that is also part of the California Friday Night Live partnership. We also have a Friday Night Live mentoring program, which is a peer-to-peer education and mentorship program. And it matches high school mentors with middle school proteges. And that's really to get those students who are on the cusp of behavioral issues, or are having a hard time fitting in school, or have trouble making friends, or maybe thinking about using alcohol, tobacco, or other drugs. It's really to get them back involved in school and on that healthy and positive path. I think the other thing, when we're talking about that our youth, this is a youth program that our youth actually made this patient. So Joe and I may not be justice, but this was created by our youth for the from the Solano Youth Coalition. So that's back to you.
All right, we'll go to the next slide. Okay, so Friday Night Live, the work that our young people do is about exploring the root causes of the issues that they care about. Yes, we're funded to do work on tobacco prevention and education. We do also receive some funding to do work on other drugs and alcohol, and strangely enough, problem gambling. You'll see a little bit of that as well. But at the end of the day, what we do is we have our students evaluate what they think matters. What are the issues that are affecting their peers or their community? And what are the root causes that are creating problems that they see? And once they can identify those root causes, how are they going to identify ways to make change to those root causes? We don't want to slap a Band-Aid on something. We don't want to give people high fives for doing actions or activities that don't actually affect change. We want them to feel like they can actually make change. And in order to do that, they have to really understand the root cause. And we work very closely with our public health department. They're one of our funders and a great support system. And one of the biggest things that come up over and over again are social health. And we know that young people who feel disconnected to their community, unable to participate, have no say in a process that affects their lives. They're not going to be as likely to contribute to their society, and they're not going to have a healthy, happy future. So really, when we do the work that we do, we want to make sure our young people feel connected through the work that they're doing. And that is why this work with Alice was so important to us. Next slide, please.
So on the Solano Youth Coalition, they identified 4 areas of focus. One of them being alcohol, tobacco, and other drug prevention, or ATOD prevention. And then the other one was youth mental health and stigma reduction. They really wanted to normalize mental health and wellness. And so that's one of their 4 priorities. Another one is social justice and racial equity issues. And then finally, violence prevention, healthy relationships, specifically looking at teen dating violence. We've seen a huge spike in teen dating violence along with mental health and wellness, especially with COVID and coming back from that. At the top, you'll see the Solano Youth Coalition mission statement, which is the Solano Youth Coalition strives to raise awareness by advocating safe and healthier choices in communities through open conversations, participation, and collaboration among a new generation. On the Youth Coalition, we have middle school, high school, and college age students. So it's a really broad range of students at various levels of advocacy and leadership. And so it's really great to see them come in at a young age and really grow with the program and the different opportunities and partnerships that we've been able to bring to them. These are in these different areas. These are the some graphics and awareness campaigns that our students have created. So tobacco poisons your mind. And you'll probably see some of this stuff on social media as well. But these are some of the different graphics that our youth have created over the past year.
Right, go to the next slide. Community engagement is a huge component of the work that the Youth Coalition and Friday Night Live does. Beyond just meeting on a regular basis and getting students to show up, we actually do expect them to be engaged in activities that are on weekends or on evenings, that are sometimes we pull them out of school for them. And really it's an opportunity for them to step up and shine and show their leadership skills in their different strengths. So we've done outreach, tabling events, volunteering, we've done park cleanups. Their involvement looks different in different ways, but the most important part is that they get something out of it and they feel that they built a new skill or met some new connections or contributed to their community in some way. I also, education forum, I wanted to point out that the 4 committees that you saw on the last slide, they developed at the education forum, they developed questions specifically based on those committee topics. So each committee took time to sit together, research their topics that they wanted to get the forum participants to discuss, and crafted those questions with the guidance of Alice, because we didn't even know where to start, to really have a thoughtful way of addressing these issues that our superintendents and our board presidents would actually have to think about. And those questions were hard. They were no joke. I wouldn't have wanted to be sitting on that panel and answering those questions. And she wasn't kidding when those superintendents and those presidents said that was a learning experience for them, because those students asked questions about issues they had never even thought about addressing at their schools. And that is an empowering moment for young people. All right, next slide.
So along with the community outreach, our youth also participate in hosting workshops. So they're really active not only in peer-to-peer education, but also what we call information and education days with local decision makers. This past year, our youth hosted over 20 workshops and reaching over 400 youth and community members just this past year. And those topics were around vaping and tobacco prevention education. We've got allyship, that was one that was created by our Social Justice and Racial Equity Committee on how to be an ally. Because a couple of our students, I shouldn't say a couple, a lot of our students just wish that people were nicer to each other. They didn't think their school had a healthy school climate, and so they just wanted to teach their peers how to be a better person. And so they created this allyship presentation. Our students also tackled fentanyl this year. They partnered with our Solano County Public Health and also Drug Safe Solano and developed a fentanyl presentation for youth. And then they also gave that to all of their, Vanden High School did it to all of their staff. And then they also did it in all of their health classes. So they were doing peer-to-peer education on the dangers of fentanyl as well. Along with underage drinking prevention, we also had marijuana prevention education. That was another partnership with our public health and healthy relationships and looking at warning signs of abuse and how to be an ally for that, but also what resources are available in Solano County for victims of violence.
Okay, so this next slide has a video. Let's see if it works.
Well.
Nope.
Sorry.
Okay. It's okay, that is all right. We'll skip right on ahead. I will say that the PSA was a 30-second spot on vaping created by Benicia High School Friday Night Live and was actually featured in local movie theaters for the work that they did. And it really was just a note to their peers to remind them that because one of the most common responses we get when we ask students why they vape, it is because they think it helps relieve stress. And so we have to teach them about the effect of nicotine on your ability to actually get more stressed. So that was their message to be able to share not only with their peers, but also their community. If you go to the next slide though. Yes, Becca can share other ways that they do that.
So these are some other campaigns that our youth have created through mini grants that we've received from the California Friday Night Live Partnership that come from the state level. So we've got OTS, which is from the Office of Traffic Safety. So that's really focusing on underage drinking and driving prevention. And so this was one of the flyers that was created, and it's highlighting the fact that underage drinking and driving has decreased by 54% since 1991. So really focusing on positive social norms and creating change by highlighting that the majority of youth are not drinking and driving. So that's one thing that our students still sometimes struggle with, even though they've done it for many years. That creating that positive social norm campaign is something that they're working on. In the middle, this was created by our by an SYC, and it was on problem gambling. And so it's looking at their tagline was "Stop now, don't take the risk." And so this was their campaign. We also have Armio created a tobacco poster campaign, and so their Friday Night Live chapter created various different posters as part of their Red Ribbon Week, and they posted them all over their campus. If you can go to the next slide, we have a couple more here. So the drunk driving prevention right there, that is a door hanger. So that was also one of the other media that they created. And those were actually hung on apartment buildings, so on the different apartment doors. And then we also had the, in the middle, you've got the social justice and allyship. And so that's looking at groups that are at higher risk for suicide. So really looking at suicide prevention. And that was part of the that was part of May for Mental Health Awareness Month. And then this is another door hanger that was developed by Benicia Friday Night Live as part of their OTS project. So be safe, stay alive, don't drink and drive. That was their tagline for their campaign.
Okay, go ahead and next slide. So what this really comes down to is the work that we've done with the League of Women Voters is just kind of the tip of the iceberg of the amount of work that our young people do. You would think with the amount of time that we have to work with them, that all we did was work with women voters. But the truth is, we're a very multifaceted program. But our foundations remain the same despite whether it's the youth coalition or it's a chapter in a school site or an after school program, or we even work with the local police activities league. They have a group. So it may look different at each site, but the core remains the same. Engage young people in an opportunity to affect their peers, to connect with their community, and to make a change. And one of the best ways to do that is to create partnerships with other organizations who hold those same values and beliefs. So that has really been a great experience for us when it comes to working with the League of Women Voters. We couldn't be happier with the outcome, and we really do look forward to the future of what that could look like as far as partnerships go. And then I think we have 2 more slides. Oh, we do also rely on data. Our young people at the end of every year do participate in a youth development survey. This is independently done. We don't get to touch the data, get a report from the state. And what we learned over the last couple of years is these programs make a difference. Our young people are more involved in active listening because of our programs. They learn how to work as part of a group. They are learning relevant skills. They are becoming leaders when they didn't realize they had the ability to be leaders. And they are making safer and healthier decisions because of being part of a program like this, and because of them go on to college and stay with us beyond, because this program is family to them. It means something. They've grown up through this program, and it is a part of who they are now. And that really kind of, I think, speaks to the partnerships that we have and the leadership that we have with our team.
Next slide. Oh, yeah, no, you're already on it. Okay, so these are some testimonials from that survey as well, because we not only look at the data, but we also really like the anecdotal piece of it as well, because that helps us tell our story. But I will also add that we do have our SYC application open right now, and then we also have polled our returning members. And one of the questions was, we asked them what they'd like to focus on next year. And we gave them a list of different priorities or projects that they worked on this year. And democracy matters was the #1 priority that they would like to continue. And so they want to do another forum. They also want to continue, as Alice said, they are going to be doing the Observer Corps, because they have their committee formed and they've done their letter of introduction. So they're ready to go for over the summer to start that. And then carry that through the next year. So we were really excited to see that the students wanted to continue that partnership. We thought that it was extremely beneficial, but I think seeing it from the students saying that that was their #1 priority area that they wanted to focus on speaks more volume than we ever could. And then next slide. This was another video, but I don't see a play on it. So this is one of our students, and she's talking about why Friday Night Life matters to her. But Mia is one of our students who's graduating this year. We've had her since she was a freshman, and she actually won the Youth Advocate of the Year award at the national level from the Tobacco Free Kids. So she was in Washington, D.C. 2 weeks ago, receiving a national award for her work on tobacco prevention. So we were really proud of her. Wish we could have been there. So she's talking about how FNL has impacted her life and what she plans to do in the future, which is continue her advocacy work. And she's actually looking at coming back and staying with us while she's a freshman. She's going to Stanford. She'll be at Stanford this fall, but she wants to stay and come back as a junior advisor for the tobacco committee. And continue her advocacy work around tobacco and vaping prevention. And Joe, I think there's one more slide.
Oh, yes, one last slide, why FNL matters. It matters because they're a future. I mean, it doesn't, I can't, there's nothing else I can say other than these are the young people who are going to be making the decisions for when I am retired and trying to enjoy my life.
Right.
And it matters because it's a community. It builds community. And if a young person doesn't feel like they're part of their community, they're not going to make a change in their community.
Well, we want to thank you. This has been a wonderful presentation.
Sure. I would like for the audience, for our members to know what we're doing. Currently, of course, we're continuing our partnership with SYC and Golden Hills. We will present our observatory training to the Vacaville Police Academies League this summer. Democracy Matters has become a part of the Solano Community Health Hub, which is part of this. We are part of that overall wellness program, which gives us a venue to have activities right here all the time, whenever we need to. And one of the other things that I'm very excited about is that Democracy Matters is collaborating with Vallejo Mare Islands Technical Schools government department on instituting a accredited civics class, and they're going to use Democracy Matters tools. I just wanted to share that.
We would like to present on behalf of the League of Women Voters the certificate of participation and achievement for the Solano Youth Club. And we thank you for finding this.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll go to the show you some flowers. You can get flowers when we present at other places.
That's
Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
So
That was great, Alice. Thank you. Thank you, ladies. We really appreciate it. Pardon me? Oh, well, I just said I wanted to thank all of them for their presentation and wish them well in continuing our partnership, which sounds like it's going to happen. Yes, Francis?
Yes, any questions? How much students in your program is it?
So twofold to that, how are students enrolled in this program and how can they get involved? So Friday Night Live is open to anyone, anywhere. We can start a chapter out of school, at a community center, at an after school program, you name it. All we need is an adult who cares and wants to be part of the program, and couples of students, any age will work with them. When it comes to the Solano Youth Coalition, that is an application process. The application is open now. I think we did a press release.
June 16th close.
It closes on June 16th. We did a press release, so it was in the news for a while. So we do an announcement to all of our schools. So it is a little more of a rigorous process to be part of the youth coalition. But I think it's important to know that the young people who are on our youth coalition do not assume that they are natural leaders who came to us, straight A students, very involved and ready to take on the world. And I like to take the weirdos and the ones who don't really know their true potential. Those are the ones that we like to see come and grow and become something new, special. So any student can apply. Most students get in because that is the way that we work.
Thank you. So before we wrap up, I want to do Leslie, thank you for those beautiful flowers that you brought to share. Gorgeous. And another is going to be going to Sandy Curry. Sandy is coming off the board this year. And Sandy, we want to thank you for all of your tireless work in the communications committee. And you'll be really missed on the board. We don't want you to go away though, promise? Okay, so thank you. You know what? She should, that's right. And another, Kathy Savage, she's enjoying herself in Ashland right now, but she was our secretary and she's coming off the board as well. So we'll make sure she gets a mug as well. With that, I'd like to conclude our meeting. And I want to thank everyone, Francis, who helped with, no, she did, all of the food. Thank you, Francis. Thank you. Dr. Chapman, thank you for being a parliamentarian. She was our backup in case we had any glitches. I don't think we did. And to all of you, thank you for coming this evening in person and on Zoom. It was really great to see you all. And we look forward to a great year coming up. Have a good evening.